Let's bring in Bishop T.D. Jakes. He always saves the day. He's considered one of the most influential spiritual leaders in our nation. A senior pastor of the Potter's House in Dallas, his voice is heard in millions of homes every single day. He also, by the way, is a film producer, a Grammy Award winner, and a best-selling author. His newest book is called When Women Pray, 10 Women of the Bible Who Changed the World Through Prayer. Bishop T.D. Jakes joins us first on CBS This Morning. Always good to see you, Bishop Jakes. So, in the book...
Good morning. It's a pleasure to be with you.
Good morning. In the book you say, Winston Churchill says, when you go through hell, keep going. You say, when you're going through hell, keep praying. And you're focusing on women. Why? At this particular time.
I think it's very, very important. This is a critical time for women. They're up to bat in so many different ways, whether they're in the boardrooms or the courtrooms or whether they're in the legislature or managing an office or managing getting kids off to school. More and more pressure and more responsibility is placed on them, and particularly at this time when we're facing so many crises in the world. I wanted to call us back to prayer and an inner introspective look at how to survive the vicissitudes of life.
Yeah, because you said prayer is needed now more than ever because Americans are grieving. What do you mean?
Well, we've had over 200,000 people to die. We've had millions of people to be contracted with this virus, where many of them have not recovered well. We're grieving because our notions about our country and ourselves have been shattered. We're grieving because of violence, crime, police brutality, racial discord, the economy shaking, losing our jobs. It's a whole list of things that have caused us, regardless to what you think about the particulars of those things, it's still stressful on either side of the argument.
You were talking about Sarah. Sarah's story was fascinating to me because you said God's ability to act is not dependent on your ability to pray. You were saying you don't have to be religious to pray. What do you mean? Because most people think, well, how do you pray if you're not religious?
Yeah. Well, you know, the thing about it is we come to God, we think we have to be sanctimonious, O thou which ruleth in heaven and earth. It's a conversation. It's a relationship. It's less religious. It's more relational. And I think that we need to demystify the art of prayer by understanding you're having a conversation. You're easing some of the pressure. You're dumping out some of the load. You're getting the stress off of yourself. And recognizing that there's somebody bigger than you is comforting at a time where we have little to trust in that is stable and solid in the times we're living in right now.
You know, you came to us in March when COVID was first starting. Certainly you didn't think that we would still be talking about this as we're heading into October. And in the book you talk about the loss for you, your church, your community, and funerals, being able to preside over funerals. Could you explain what you mean by that?
It is, in fact, very stressful and very difficult. We're designed to want to comfort families, to be there when they're grieving. Our church does about 400 funerals a year. That number has escalated. The tragedies, the atrocities, the families who are grieving because they couldn't be with their loved ones when they died, the limitations on the funerals, everyone in mass, nobody can touch anybody. You can't give them a hug. Sometimes it's not so much what we say. When people are hurting, you can't even hug a bereaved wife or children. It's a very, very difficult time. And then the other thing I want to quickly note, particularly in the African American community, sometimes there are people in our community that the only time that they really get to really express their appreciation, and they only get to be important at a funeral. And when you lose that, you've lost a lot. And I've lost your earpiece. You've lost a lot, and that really kind of is demoralizing. It increases the grief process and the guilt process of not being able to be with them and hold them and help them.
Yeah, that's such an important point. You say when women pray, they find hope and joy in unexpected places, but there's also room for men, too. You're not leaving the men out of this conversation.
No, I started out with the women because there are a lot of men today that are where they are because of the prayers of their mothers and grandmothers, wives and daughters. But it does not exclude men from prayer. In fact, the Bible is very open about men ought to always pray without ceasing. And really, though I use 10 women, I think men will find inspiration in those pages too.
All right, Bishop T.D. Jakes, always good to have you here. Thank you, sir. When Women Pray,
Thank you for having me. Have a good one.
always. When Women Pray is on sale today, wherever you like to buy your books.